Hello everyone. Actually, previously we had discussed on the topic this one. We designed an elevator system, right? So we successfully designed an elevator system previously. Today, what we'll be doing, we'll be designing a library management system based on the conditions that they have given, right? So let's see what the question states here. So we have to design a simple library management system that allows adding books, registered users, and this one, borrowing and returning books. That is also one of the thing, and displaying available books, all in memory without using any external databases. Yeah. So this is fine, I believe. Yeah, let's do one thing. First, let's collect the functional as well as the non-functional requirement. Then we can just move forward with other stuff like algorithm, choice, UML diagram, and other stuff. Then we can just move on with other things. First, let's collect the functional as well as the non-functional requirements. So first thing here, first functional requirement is to add, we should be able to add the new books to the library. The second one is register users. User has to register, right? Then borrow and return books. User should be able to borrow and return books. Display available books and borrowed books. This is also one of the things. And the final one is simple in-memory tracking, right? So this is fine, I believe. Next, let's move on with the further things. Non-functional requirements. Yeah, non-functional requirements. The first one is easy scalability for more users or books, right? So this is one of the things. And second one is code readability in the modular structure, right? So third one here, efficient in this one, efficient in-memory data access, right? So we are not going with the external database here. Efficient in-memory data access, nothing but in simple terms, we can call this one as big of one lookups, right? So this is fine. The fourth one is thread safe access for the future concurrency. Yeah. So this should be extendable. In simple terms, thread safe access for the future concurrency in the sense it should be extendable for that. Yeah. So this is fine. Next, based on the functional as well as the non-functional requirements. So let's go with the algorithm choice. So here, first for the book search, for searching the books actually, for the book search and issue operations. So we will be going with the dictionary, nothing but the hash map for big of one lookup, for the big of one lookup. Yeah. So this I found it this one. What do you call? So I found that this particular algorithm fits in properly just to based on the criteria that they have given, right? So for this, basically we'll be going with a dictionary, nothing but the hash map for big of one lookup. The second one is user and borrow tracking. User and this one borrow tracking hash maps to maintain quick access by user IDs and book IDs. Yep, so this is fine. These two things. Next, let's move on with the concurrency and the data model, right? So let's move on with the concurrency as well as the data model. Yeah, the data model here will be going with the book user as well as the library. Book consists of the book ID, title, author, as well as the is borrowed. These things. Yeah, these things. User, user ID, and the username, and the particular books that is borrowed by the particular users, right? Particular user. So library, it holds the collection of books and users. Quite obviously, it should hold the collection of books and users, right? Concurrency will be going with a single threaded. So we'll be going with a single threaded. As we are going with only with the CLI demo, actually, we'll be going with a single threaded. In the sense, uh, also this one only for the demo purpose. We are this one, right? Going with this one just to solve the particular problem. So we'll be going with a single threaded itself. And for the real world, thread safe locks for borrow as well as the return operations using thread.lock or async queue would be better actually. Yep. So this I wanted to discuss with you guys. This is fine. Now we have successfully discussed the concurrency as well as the data model as well. Next, let's move on with the UML diagram part. Yeah, let's move on with the UML diagram part. So first thing, the main class would be library class here. The main class would be library class, right? So here it consists of the parameters books. It consists of the parameter users, right? So both are of the type dict actually. Yep. So this is fine. And we'll be going with the 5 methods. Namely, one is add book. The second one is register user. The third one is borrow book. The fourth one is return book. And the fifth one is show books. Yeah. Add book, register user, borrow book, return book, as well as the show books. Right. So these are the methods that we'll be making use of within the main library class actually. And other two classes are here. this one user as well as the books. Under the user class, actually, we'll be going with the user ID, name, as well as the borrowed books. And this one, user owns the book, right? User owns the book from the library. So it is interlinked here, right? So user depends on the library class actually. Yep. And borrowed books actually is directly dependent on the book class actually, books class. So is borrowed, it is directly dependent on the is borrowed, right? So under the book class, let's come to the third one. Under the books class actually, we'll be going with a book ID, sorry, book ID, title, as well as the is borrowed, book ID, title, as well as the is borrowed, right? So this is fine, I believe. This is fine, I believe. So this is it for the UML diagram, man. The exact same thing we are going to implement in the form of code with a logic. That's it. The same methods we are going to use, the same parameters we're going to use, and the same classes, this one class name we are going to use on the this one, what do we call, in the code, whatever we write now. Yep. So just pause the video, have a look into it, this one, have a look into this one, the UML diagram actually. Now, let's do one thing. As we have discussed the important parts and as we have went through the UML diagram already, so let's move on with the coding part actually. Yeah, let's move on with the coding part. So let's start writing the code actually. First, let's go with the data models. First, I'll just go with your class book, right? So within the book class, first, let's move on with the initialization part here. So this is fine. Yep. Let me remove the pass here. And along with the self, I need, what are the parameters? If you remember the data model or the UML diagram, so you will be knowing we will be going with book ID, title, as well as the author. Yeah. Right. So this is fine, I believe. So within the initialization part, so I'll go with what are the things that we need to initialize. First thing is book ID. I'll just go with the book ID here. So let me assign this one to the book ID. So this is fine. The next thing is I'll just go with title here, title. So let me assign this one to the title. Yeah, this is also fine. The next thing I'll just go. What's wrong here? Variable not allowed in type expression. So yeah. Mhm. Oh, I have given colon instead of the this one. Sorry, equals. So this should work now actually. Next, I'll just go with the this one author. Let me type this one completely and let me initialize this one to author itself. The final one is borrowed. I'll just go with is borrowed here. Let me initialize this one to the is borrowed itself, but it's not showing. So yeah, let me do one thing. Just go with, yep, what happened here? Is borrowed is not defined. So I'll just set this one to the false actually. We have not defined. Yeah, so this is fine. Yeah, I got confused here. So next, let me go with the str. Yep. So within the str, what shall I do? So let me set the status first. Yeah, I'll just go with the status equals borrowed. So this is fine. If mm, is borrowed, so I'll just go with is borrowed. Else, let me go with available. Available. Yep. So let me return this one. What do we call? So let's go with a string interpolation here. F followed by, I'll just go with self dot book ID. So let me go with a book ID. So this is also fine. Or so let me go with title here. Yep. Title by, I'll just go with the author. Author. So this is fine. Finally, let me pass the status. Let me pass the status. Yeah. So this is fine. So the next step would be, let me go with a class user. So I'll just go with a class user. Within the user class actually, first let's go with the initialization part here. So I'll just go with, sorry, f mm, init. Yep, this is fine. Self, let me go with user ID as well. Let me go with name. Yeah, so within the initialization part, I'll just go with self dot user ID. Mm, let me go with user ID. Let me initialize this one to the user ID. So this is fine. Next, let's go with a name. Let me initialize this one to the name as well. The final one, let's go with the borrowed books actually. Yep. So let me initialize this one to the empty array first. So next part is, let's go with the str again. Yep. So let me return. I need the string. Let me make use of the string interpolation here. So I'll just go with user ID. Let me go with the user ID. Yep, user ID. So this one, or I'll just go with the name. Let me go with name. This is fine. Borrowed. So this would be fine as well. So let me go with len here. So this is fine. But I'll just go with the borrowed books actually. Borrowed books actually. So this is fine as well, man. So let me come out of this one entirely. Yeah. For next, let's move on with a library class actually. Yep. So I'll just go with class library. Next, first, let's go with the initialization part. So I'll just go with the net. Yeah. Along with the self, I don't need anything, I believe. So I'll just go with dictionary. So I'll just go with here self dot books. This is fine. Also the users. After the initial, what happened here? Yeah, after the initialization part. So let's move on with the other methods. What are the methods that we'll be going with here? Basically, we should be able to add the book. We should be able to register. A user should be able to register himself. Uh, then we should be able to borrow the book. That is one thing. Three methods. We should be able to return the book. Four, and we have to show the books initially, right, within the library. So these five things, I think, five methods actually. Let's write this one quickly one by one. Yeah, first let's start with the add book actually. I'll just go with add book here. Add book. Let me go with book ID. One thing. The second one, let me go with the title as the parameter, and let me consider author as parameter as well. So within the add book, let me write the simple if condition. We are adding the book, right? Based on the book ID actually. I'll just go with if book ID not in books actually, not in books actually. So then if book ID not in books, then I'll just go with books of book ID. So this has to show, yeah, book ID. Let me assign this one to the book of this one. I'll just go with the book ID. Let me go with the title and author, right? So let me go with the title and author. So next one, let's print something from the interactiveness here. So I'll just go with the print. So let me go with this one string interpolation here. Book, book. Let me go with title. Let me go with title here. So this is fine. Title added successfully, right? Successfully. Yep. So this is fine. Where is this one actually? Oh, sorry. Let me go with single inverted comma here, and let me close the double inverted comma here. Yep. So now this is fine. Next step, what we'll do? Else, else what we'll do? Else, this one. Let's print this one. Book already exists. Sorry, book ID, right? So book ID already exists. Actually, let me go with the print here. Let me give book ID already exists, right? Exists. So this is fine. Yep. So let me go with a next method, nothing but the register user. I'll just go with a register user self, comma, user ID, and also let me go with name. Yeah. So within the register user method, let's go with a simple if condition. If user ID not in users actually users, then I'll do one thing. I'll just go with the users of user ID. I'll just go with user mm, user ID. So let me assign this one to the user of user ID and name we have to pass, right? User ID along with the name. Yep. So this is fine. The next step would be let's print something similar to the this one add book itself. Let's print something string interpolation starting from the F. Let me go with the user and again let me pass something over here. Nothing but name. Let me pass the name here. Registered successfully. Yeah, this fits in properly actually. Registered successfully. Right. So let me copy this one, paste it over here. Right. So this is fine. Else same thing similar to the this one add book. So user ID already exists, right? So let me copy the same thing here. Let me paste it over here. Instead of the book, let me change this one to user ID. Right. So we are done with the register user method as well. Now let's move on with the third method, nothing but the borrow book. So this is going to be huge actually, not huge, somewhat bigger than the last two ones, right? So but it's simpler actually, right? So I'll just go with here def borrow book actually. Let me go with self user ID and let me go with book ID as well. Let me go with book ID as well. So within the borrow book, within the borrow book function or the method. So let me go with a simple if condition here. If user ID not in users, not in users, then let me print something here. What shall I print? So let me go with invalid user ID. So this is fine. Invalid user ID. Right. So let me return something here. So this is fine. Let me go with one more if condition here. If book ID not in actually, yeah, books. So this is fine. What shall I do? I'll go with the invalid book ID, right? So let me copy the same thing. Let me paste it over here. Instead of the user, I'll just go with invalid book ID. So this is also fine. Next, let me copy the same thing here. And let me paste it over here, return. Then what I'll do further. So we have to assign book and user to the books of book ID and users of user ID, right? So I'll just do that one very quickly, right? So this one will be self books of this one book ID. So let me pass the book ID here. So this is fine. And user, just assign this one to the users of user ID, user ID. So this is fine as well. Now let's move on with a simple if condition here. Now let's move on with a simple if condition. If book this one is borrowed actually is borrowed. So then let me print something. I'll just go with print here. If this one, sorry, I'll just go with the book title. Yeah, this would be fine actually. Let me go with the book title. Title of the book actually. Let me go with the book dot title. So this is fine. Is already borrowed. Yep. So this is fine. Next, let's do one thing. Let's go with the else actually. Let's go with else. This one, let me go with book dot is borrowed. Book dot is borrowed, right? So let me copy the entire thing and let me paste it over here. dot is borrowed. Let me set this one to the boolean value true. Yes, this is fine as well. Next, let me go with user dot borrowed books actually. So one second. We haven't made use of the borrowed books anywhere. So I'll just copy this one and paste it over here and change this one to borrow from the borrow book. Right, so this is fine. Let's append. This is not showing, right? Borrowed instead of the borrowed book, it has to be borrowed books actually. Showing books. One second. Haven't made use of the. One second. Just give me a second here. Anyways, let me pass the book here. Right, so this is fine, man. Next, let's print something for the interactiveness here. So I'll just go with F here. This is fine. Mm, on this, let's go with the string interpolation here. Again, what should I do here? I'll just go with the dot title this time. Yep, so this is fine. Borrowed by whom? Let's display the username actually. User dot name. I'll just go with the user dot name. Yep, so this is fine actually. Yeah, next we are done with this method. We are done with this method actually, borrow book. Yep, so we are done with the borrow book method. Next, let's move on with the return book. We should be able to return the book, right? User should be able to return the book. So for that, I'll just go with def return book. What are the parameters that I need? I need here, one is user ID and another one is book ID as well. Yep. Uh, so within this function or the helper method, let me go with a simple if condition here. I'll just go with if user ID not in self.users or book ID actually. Yep, not in dot books. Then what we'll do actually, I'll just go with print. Let me go with invalid IDs. Yeah, let me go with the invalid IDs. Yeah. So let me return actually. Let me return. So I'll just assign the user to users of, let me pass the user ID. Let me pass the user ID and let me go with dot books. I'll just go with book ID actually. Yep. So let me go with the book ID. Right. So this is fine. Let me go with if book in this one. Borrowed books actually. Let me copy this one and paste it over here. Borrowed books. Then book dot is borrowed. So somewhere we have made use of the is borrowed, right? So where did it go? Second, yeah. Let me copy this one. Is borrowed here. So let me set this one to the boolean value false as well. So next, I'll just go with a user dot borrowed books actually. Let me copy this one. Borrowed books. So this is fine. Dot remove remove of. Yep. So then I'll just go with a print here. Let me give here followed by the title retained by, we have to go with the username, right? So returned by, yeah. Let me go with the name of the user actually. Yep. So Yeah, after the print statement, let me go with else. Simple one. Let's print something actually. Mm, else book is not borrowed by the user, right? So I'll just give book not borrowed by user here. Book not borrowed by the user, right? So this is fine, I believe. Simple one. Yes. Next, what we have to do? We are left with only one, this one helper method or the method, show books actually. We should be able to show the books, right? So that also we have to do. So I'll just go with def show book, show book. Uh, so within the self, let me go with the print here. So this one, let's move on with a slash n. Yep. So this is fine. Let me go with library books. So this is fine as well. So this is fine. Next, what should I do? Let me move on with a for loop actually for b in. Uh, let's consider the books value actually. Yep, books dot value values actually values. So within the for loop, let's print b actually. Yeah, let's print b. So this is fine, I believe. Next, let's do one thing. So we are done with the coding part. We are done with the coding part. So this is it for the coding part. So whatever we discussed in the UML diagram and other stuff apart from the UML diagram, we discussed the important things. This one, functional, non-functional requirement and other stuff, right? Accordingly, with whatever we had discussed, the same thing we have written the code. Exactly the same thing that we discussed on the UML diagram. With the logic, we have written the same methods we have made use of, the same parameters we have used. So we have added the logic to the this one. What do you call? uh, the methods, and in the coding we have made use of the this one within the classes and other stuff we have made use of the parameters as well, classes and this one, sorry, mainly the functions or the helper methods, whatever you call. Yeah, so this is fine. We are done with the coding part, right? So now for the demo usage or for the example usage, let me take the example usage from the Google. Just give me a second here. So let me come here. Let me paste it over here. Right. So we are just adding the sample books here. This one ID, name, as well as the name of the user. Right. So this is fine. Then we should be able to register the user. So 101 Alice, we are just going with the Alice and Bob. So borrow and return flow here. Uh, borrow and return flow. Right. So borrow book, and we are calling the show books as well here. Right. So the methods that we have written successfully, right? So now we are just going with the borrow books, return book, borrow, as well as the show books finally, right? So what is the output that we need to get here? Accordingly with the this one example usage that we went with, actually we are calling the library function as well. Yeah, class as well, sorry, the main one. So this is fine. What is the output that we need to get here based on the input that we have considered? Actually, see, I'll just show you one second. Yeah. First thing is we have created three main classes here. One is book, another one is user, and another one is library, right? So you can just check the classes. Three classes we have written. One is book, another one is user, and another one is library, right? So we have made use of the dictionaries for big of one lookup, right? For books and the users mainly. Yeah, we have used the dictionaries for big of one lookup for books and users. We know this. Third one, uh, we are able to this one. We went with borrowing marks a book, basically borrowing marks a book as borrowed and adds it to the user's borrowed list. So this is one thing. The fourth one, it this one returning the reverses, basically returning reverses the process. Sorry, returning reverses the process. This way, no. Finally, the system runs entirely in memory, right? The system runs entirely in memory, right? So we are demonstrating add, borrow, or return operations here, right? So this way now. So the output that we need to get here, first one, we are going with the atomic habit. So this one, right? So book atomic habits added successfully. We are just adding the sample books here. So this one, for the first one, we have to get book atomic habits added successfully. For the second one, book clean code added successfully. Third one, user, Alice, you can just check the print statements that we have written within the methods, right? So you can just check that one within the specific class, right? So here we are adding the Alice and Bob. So user Alice registered successfully. We are registering the user. The print state accordingly with the print statement that we have written. This one, user Bob registered successfully. These 4 lines. Finally, this one, we are borrowing and returning the flow. We are going with a borrow and return flow here. So borrow book 101. So this one belongs to Alice actually. So atomic habits borrowed by Alice. That one we need to get in the output. Atomic habits borrowed by actually Alice. The ID belongs to the Alice, right? 101. This one. This is fine, I believe. Next, we are going with the library books actually. We are going with the library books, show books actually. We are showing all the books, right? So first thing, Atomic Habits by James Clear, borrowed by Alice, right? So Atomic Habits by James Clear. So this one. Second one, Clean Code by Robert Martin. This is available. This is not borrowed by anyone. Alice borrowed Atomic Habits, and this is still available. Clean Code book is still available. Next, sorry, Atomic Habits is already borrowed. Atomic Habits, then it is returned by this one. See here, Alice is returning the this one. When we give borrow book actually 102, so this one actually what happens? Bob when try to this one. Um, what do we call borrow the book Atomic Habits, we have to get sorry Atomic Habits is already borrowed. Atomic this one after calling the return book actually, now we have to get the output this one Atomic Habits borrowed by this one Atomic Habits returned by Alice. Again we are again the Bob is trying to this one borrow the book, right? First time Bob fails because it is borrowed by the Alice, right? So Alice returns here when we call the return book method. This one Alice returns the Atomic Habits book. So then we have to get Atomic Habits returned by the Alice. So here at the this one borrow book, Bob is trying to borrow the Atomic Habits book again, right? Atomic Habits borrowed by the Bob we have to get. So this is also fine. Final one, we are again displaying the library books. We are again displaying the library books. So this one Atomic Habits by James Clear borrowed we have to get. So because now it is borrowed by the this one Bob actually, right? First time it was borrowed by the Alice. Now it is borrowed by the Bob actually. Then for the second one actually, if we just have to get Clean Code by Robert Martin, it is available in the braces actually, square braces, right? So this is the output that we need to get. So let's check the same. So let me copy the entire file name here. I'll just come here, Control J. Yep. So sorry, I'll just go with Python followed by the file name dot py. We are getting the error. What error we are getting here? Library object has no this one show books. We have set this one to show book, I believe. 1 second. Line number 95, right? So I'll just go to the line number 95 here. Library dot show books. Okay, what we have written here. This one show book actually. So shall I change this one to show books or here show book? Let's do one thing. Let me change here itself to the show books. Yep. So let me give clear screen again. Let me enlarge this one. Give me a second. Yep. Let me hit enter. Yeah. Now we can clearly see here. Book first, we are adding the Atomic Habits added successfully. Then we are adding the book clean code. Book clean code has been added successfully. Third, we are registering two users with the ID 101 and 102, Alice and Bob. See, user Alice registered successfully, user Bob registered successfully. And then this one Alice is borrowing the book this one Atomic Habits, right? See here, Atomic Habits borrowed by Alice. So this is fine. So next we are going with this one library books. So we are just displaying show books we are calling, right? The method show books we are calling. So the Atomic Habits by James Clear, but this is already borrowed by Alice. Second one Clean Code by Robert Martin. So this is still available, nobody has borrowed it, right? So now Bob is trying to this one borrow the Atomic Habits book, but it is already this one what do we call uh, borrowed by the this one what do we call Alice actually. See here, this one. 1 second. Yeah, borrow book actually 101. This one, this has been already this one what do we call borrowed by the Alice. This has been already so sorry, Atomic Habits is already borrowed, right? So next one here, we are showing so borrow book this one Bob is trying to this one. So here we have come, right? So now return book, return book, right? So after the, sorry, this one, atomic habits returned by Alice, return, this one, Alice has successfully returned the atomic habits book actually. Now again Bob is trying to borrow the book, this one, what do we call, atomic habits. Now Bob is able to successfully borrow because Alice has written the book atomic habits, right? See here, atomic habits borrowed by Bob. Then finally now atomic habits book has been borrowed by Bob, and this one, clean code book is still available, clean code book is still available, right? So we are just we have just called the show books method here. So see, atomic habits by James Clear, one borrowed, this one clean code by Robert Merton available. Yeah. So library book. So this is fine, I believe. This is fine, I believe. Yep. So this works absolutely correct. This works absolutely correct. So whatever the code that we have written works absolutely correct, right? So whatever the code that we have written works absolutely correct, right? So this is fine. Whatever the yeah, whatever the code that we have written works absolutely correct for this one, and we are getting the desired output basically. This is fine, man. Now we have discussed the code, whatever the code that we have written, and then we have discussed the output part as well. Now let's do one thing. Let's move on with the further things. Let's discuss the limitations of the current code or limitations for the code that we have written, and then finally we can just move on with the this one. What do we call the future discussion actually? We can just call this one as this one. What do we call? Alternative algorithms and the trade-offs, right? So first, let's discuss the limitations of the current code or limitations for the current code that we have written. Yep, just give me a second here. So here, the first limitation would be, one second, what happened here? Yeah, the first limitation would be no persistence. When I say no persistence, data will be lost when the program ends, right? So this one we know. We are just going with a CLI demo actually. The second one is no fine grained concurrency control. We are going with a single thread, right? So no fine grained, this one concurrency control. We are just making use of the single thread, this one simulation just to the CLI demo, right? So the third one is no due date or fine calculation logic. We are not going with the due date or the fine calculation logic, right? So we have kept it simple as per the criteria, right? So the fourth one is limited validation, right? So we are just duplicating this one. Duplicating the titles are allowed here, right? So we're just going with a limited validation. And the fifth one, final one, and it's CLI based only, right? So no web interface or the UI, right? Or this one, I'm speaking of the GUI actually, graphical user interface, right? So this is fine, I believe. Next, let's do one thing. Let's move on with the alternative algorithms. Yeah, let's move on with the alternative algorithms. The first one here, we can make use of the try as well, try or the inverted index algorithm. We can just go with the try or inverted index algorithm. So we can just add the feature search books, right? So we are able to add the search books functionality by making use of the try or the inverted index algorithm, right? So but what will be the trade-off here? So we um, we have to go with a higher memory usage. Yeah, we have to go with a higher memory usage. So second one is SQLite or JSON storage. So we can just go with the SQLite or the JSON storage, right? So basically the feature that we can add here is persistence. We know this, but slower input output, right? But slower input output. Then the third one, we can just go with the thread safe locks or async input output, right? So thread safe locks or async input output. Yeah. So here, this one feature that we can add here is concurrency. Concurrency. Yeah. So, but it increases the code complexity quite obviously. Yeah. The final one is collaborative filtering. When I say collaborative filtering, we can just go with a feature, this one recommendation feature as well, but uh, it leads to the this one heavy computation or the heavy calculation, right? So these are some of the alternative algorithms and the trade-offs, nothing but the summary. Yep. So we have successfully designed an library management system, the simple one just for the CLI demo, right? Single file, this one library management system. We have successfully designed library management system. So this is fine. So next, what we are gonna do? So we will be designing calendar or booking scheduler, right? So next we'll be designing calendar or booking scheduler. For now, I hope everything is clear, right? The coding part and other stuff that we discussed, right? So for now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.